So I've just come off a call with Sarah Jane Walls, and SJ is a final year podiatry student at GCU in Scotland. So she's that far from qualifying. And we've had conversations before, and she's great fun to talk to. But I wanted to get her on a call really to talk about how she'd moved one of her current business, the Yoga and Pilates Place, from being a kind of bricks and mortar business which delivers courses online onto the online space, how she's actually transitioned that across. And although looking at what's going on in the world at the moment with all the people who are moving their businesses online, it kind of makes sense now. When she did it, it was something which people weren't doing. And I wanted to talk through the processes, I wanted to talk through the challenges she had. I just wanted to get a real idea of what happened during that transition. Now, if you're interested in that kind of online stuff, it's a great video to watch. But what I wasn't expecting during our conversation, which was, for me, was a brilliant conversation. I absolutely love this conversation. What I wasn't expecting is we get talking about personal development and personal growth. And there's some real gold, there's some real nuggets in there in this video, which I'm sure can help you to develop yourself personally as well. I'm a massive personal development fan. I'm on that personal development journey. SJ is on that journey as well, albeit she started a lot sooner, a lot earlier than me. But there's some real gold in there as well for you. I had a great time in this conversation. We actually talked a lot more than this, and we actually talked a lot more beforehand and a lot more after the recording as well. And I'm sure you can see from the video the kind of conversation we had. In fact, I'm a bit hoarse from that conversation in which we talked so much. But if there's anything in this video which you think, I could do with a bit of help with that, or you want to know a little bit more, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to SJ. All the details will be in the comments below. And give us a shout if we can help at all. Enjoy the video. So for those people who are kind of tuning in and watching this somewhere on my social media, I am joined by Sarah Jane Walls, all the way from Glasgow. It's Glasgow, isn't it? Just checking that. Here we go in Glasgow. That's Glasgow. I love it. Just as an aside, I love Glasgow. I absolutely love Glasgow. My first ever trip to Scotland was when I was 15, and it was Glasgow. And I was with my dad. We went up the coast a little bit as well. There's a forces base. I think it's a naval base somewhere up the coast.
Vaseline.
Yeah, and we went into a pub. I mean, bearing in mind at 15, I was 6'2" anyway. We went into a pub, and the woman just looks at my dad. I'm not even going to do a Scottish accent. She just looked at him and went, "He's 15." And my mum went, "Yeah." She said, "Look, you can have some food here, have a drink here, but when they kick out from the barracks, it's a Friday night, when they kick out from the barracks, you don't want to be here." And so we ended up going through a couple of different places up the coast. But yeah, memories of that were amazing. But anyway, that's just me going off on a tangent. So I'm joined by SJ because she, as far as I'm concerned, is just one of the people in our industry who is just right at the forefront of online platform use. So online consultations you've just taken on board, I know that. But it's your Yoga and Pilates Place stuff, which I think is absolutely amazing. And I'm really looking forward to just exploring with you kind of where that came from, what the inspiration was, and how in this kind of the time of COVID, how everything has kind of changed for you. But before we go down that rabbit hole, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Where to start?
We've got plenty of tape to record it on. It's fine.
So I got into podiatry later in life, went back to uni at the lovely age of 35, now 41, 3 weans later. I have ran and owned my own business for 20 years, but I have a health and wellness professional. So Pilates teacher, used to be a professional runner a whole other lifetime ago. And kind of got to a point in my business where I just needed a challenge. So I went back to uni again. I was always interested in biomechanics, human movement, and that's how I ended up getting into podiatry. So I'm literally just about to graduate GCU. So as we film this, I am currently writing dissertation and preparing for online exams. No idea how that's going to pan out, but there you are. So I've kind of always been an early adopter of technology. Technology's never really fazed me. I built all my own websites. My husband's a data scientist, so probably all that kind of stuff all comes in. He taught me how to code in R, and I can do a little bit of Python coding as well. So I'm probably not normal, but you don't need any of that stuff. But I've always had the opinion and the kind of sheer grit and determination of just get up, just get on with it, get it done. And if somebody kicks you down, you just push them out the road and you get yourself up there. So when the going gets tough, SJ gets going. And I always kind of have been like that. I think that's just ingrained in my DNA. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. So I own the Yoga Pilates Place, or also known as TYPP Anytime, the Yoga Pilates Place Anytime. And that's in Glasgow over at Kinning Park, which is near, if you know Glasgow, the SECC and all of that area over there. So it's really central. Really cool. It's been lots of shapes and sizes over those 20 years as well. And we deliver in there yoga, Pilates sessions in real person, but we also have 2 clinic rooms where I do lots of biomechanics assessments, postural screenings, and maybe one day soon I'll be doing some podiatry stuff too.
It's exciting times, isn't it? It's exciting. I mean, the degree north of the border is 4 years. So, you know, mine was a 3-year degree. So I would have been already, you know, had this been when I qualified, I would have already been in practice the best part of 8-9 months. So, yeah, it is completely different. So
it's a lot of clinical hours, but it's a good degree. Yeah, it's a good degree. It's tough going. It's probably like, this is my 2nd degree. It's not easy.
But each of the schools has, you know, my experience. I mean, I trained at Birmingham. I trained at Birmingham for convenience because we, at the time, my now wife was pregnant with our first child. So we had a choice of either staying where we were in Oxford and carrying on nursing, or it was, right, one of us retrains, probably going to be me, because I'm not going to go home and be able to have a baby. It just doesn't work that way, unless something else has happened since then. I could try. But we moved back to Birmingham because my family was there and my wife's family was there. So we could get that support, and it was, right, I want to retrain. Birmingham, being based in a college, is a very different environment to somewhere like GCU or somewhere like Brighton or Cardiff Met or a lot of the other universities. And each course, I think, produces a podiatrist who has a different approach and a different set of skills. And you could almost say, actually, that university produces, you know, maybe less academic, who aren't going to go on to further study in the same way, but produces really good podiatrists clinically who are spot on. Whereas that one produces podiatrists who can do the clinical stuff, but are actually going to go on and do masters, doctorate. It's really interesting when you start talking to different people from different universities and seeing.
Yeah, GCU is, I think, talking to other students around the UK, it is a hard one to pass. It is tough. It's a tough uni. They want you to be top of your game, world class, and they push you. They really do, which is great. But boy, so
a tough uni in a tough town, tough uni in a tough city.
I think as Scottish people, I think we sometimes we love to see people, the wee person do well, but not too well. Don't do too well. You know, don't get too big for your boots.
see, that's really interesting, because that seems to be a Northern Irish thing as well.
Yeah, we're probably very similar.
You know, Northern Ireland. I've never been. No, I'm going to go Ireland actually in September for the Galway Conference. Speaking of the Galway Conference, I'm thoroughly looking for it. I've never been there. I might even break my teetotal status to try and Guinness while I'm over there as well. But we'll see. But
why?
Yeah, so,
why would you do that? Why?
What, break the teetotal or stop drinking?
Why would you stop?
That's a story in itself. It's been, how long now? 2017, it's been probably a year and a half. So yeah, but that's a whole other story. But talking to people, talking to a lot of Irish podiatrists as well, and talking about people taking their practice forward and taking their businesses forward, it's really interesting how they don't shout about what they do, because there's still that little kind of narrative and story in the background going, don't get too big for your boots, you know, Speak when you're spoken to, you know, 2 ears for listening, 1 mouth for talking. So, and it's really interesting. And I think we all to some degree have that. But certainly that's really interesting.
That's very, very true of Scotland in general, and especially Glasgow. Who do you think you are? Yeah, don't get too big, don't get too good. But yeah, there's definitely been that. I don't know whether it's the west of Glasgow that who do they think they are? People have always went, what is she doing now? I've always been, if you've ever read the book Purple Cow, I am the purple cow. I have always gone the opposite direction, done the opposite to everybody else. It's just who I am. Hence why I probably ran away to Hawaii at the age of 19 and got married to somebody a lot older because I was told I wasn't meant to. Watch me.
So this is the case of people could feed you things subliminally, you'll probably do them. or feed you, or say, don't do this. This would be a bad idea. I'm going to do that anyway.
Totally, yeah. So if you want me to do something, tell me not to do it. tell me I can't do it. Tell me I can't do something, and I'll be like, oh, watch me. Yeah. So
and that's an important trait, though. That tenacity and that drive, that continuous drive. The question: where does that come from? Okay, partly I suppose it's going to come from the environment.
Yeah.
But there must be a huge amount from you in there as well.
Yeah. So I suppose, without getting into too much detail and making this far too long, I grew up as a young carer. My mum had mental health problems. My dad left when we were very young. So I didn't really have a childhood in the sense of a normal childhood. I was very much an adult for as long as I can remember. So I just had this absolute sheer determination and drive that's always been there, and the sense of just achieving. And I just always remember as a young, and then running competitively, I got to the Scottish running team, and that sheer competitiveness in me. I'm so competitive, and absolutely stubborn and pig-headed and all of that stuff. So yeah, there's nothing that I just believe that if you put your mind to anything, you can achieve it. You just have to sort this out. And I sought out lots of amazing teachers along the way, mentors along the way. One of my first mentors, I never ever met him, a guy called Jim Rohn. Love all the gym stuff. That led me on to like Brad Sugars and Brendan Burchard and loads of other amazing mentors over the years that I just immersed myself in. And I just learned, I just continue to learn. I think it's this journey. And then I just don't believe that you're too wee, you're too stupid, you're too little, you're too poor, no. If you want something, just go grab it, do it. You got to really want it though.
So if you're interested, anyone watching this is interested in a really good way of sorting your head out and getting on in anything, you can just stop there. If you're not interested in the technical stuff and the IT stuff, don't worry about carrying on. But just those people, we've had chats about this before, about personal development, and I'm not going to talk about my story particularly from when I started doing personal development 5 years ago almost now, but it changes everything. It absolutely changes everything. And I was massively resistant to it until books started appearing in the house, because my wife was going through some stuff as well, some network marketing stuff, and that comes with personal development books. And I was just picking up these little cues, and they just gently seep in underneath the skin, and then suddenly it's like, I've got to find out more. Hence all that behind, which is pretty much 100% personal development books. So yeah, you can't go wrong with a bit of personal development, really. But anyway, let's move. We better move on, because this was meant to be talking about tech. So you have the Yoga and Pilates Place at the moment, because of everything going on in the world, 100% online. Totally. So when did that start? Because, I always think about, I very rarely think about yoga and Pilates, as anyone who knows me can tell. But yoga and Pilates for me is always kind of, if you think about it in your head, it's always a room with people in, kind of doing yoga and Pilates together. So the idea of flipping it online now makes perfect sense, but there must have been a point where it was like, ooh, I don't know about that. So when was the point where you kind of went, right, this is something which I need to do, and kind of bit the bullet and did it?
Okay, so there's kind of two parts to that. So obviously being a manual therapist myself and a Pilates teacher and business owner, right? So I do hands-on stuff where you kind of need to see the person. So manual therapy, rehabby stuff. So that's one box. And then I've got the live classes where I have 12 associates that work with me. So if we look at the kind of manual therapy stuff, what I realized years ago was that a lot of the stuff that I delivered in person, I could deliver anywhere. So that's where I set up last year my 12 Weeks to Better Posture program and put that on that online platform and had this course and mentorship with me running anyway. So I was already trying to get online, trying to do stuff online because I wanted, one, to serve more people and not be restricted to where I was in my location, try and build up some sort of evergreen residual income to some degree so that it meant that I wasn't having to exchange time for money all the time. So that I was already doing that and thinking along those lines. And that all came from good mentors, thinking outside the box, expanding my reading, not just being pigeonholed, this is what I do, this is how you do it. It's like, no, how can I reach more people in a different way and make a bigger impact and save my sanity at the same time? So that was already brewing, and I already had a lot of the technical ability and video editing and software and stuff already there because I had forced myself to learn it. And you can learn anything, and I mean anything. A really good platform actually is Udemy. If you want to learn anything, just jump onto udemy.com and the course will be there for like a tenner. Don't pay any more than a tenner because you're being robbed. The law was get discounted down. So that was that side. Then we've got the live classes with my 12 associates. I never really, if I'm being honest, seen that going online. And to be honest, most of my associates would not have agreed to that. They would have not wanted to be filmed, and clients would have been like, hell no, you're not filming me in a class. You know, the barriers to that would have been quite high. And the logistics of that, sound, everything else, all of the logistics of it I just never ever pursued it. But with COVID, I realized early on, probably about a month ago before we got locked down, I saw what was happening elsewhere in the world. And being a healthcare professional, you know, you're like, this is going to happen. It's inevitable. This is going to happen. I need to quickly get on here because this place is going to be shut. And I don't know how long for. It's going to be at least a month, if not 3, if not 6. So how do I keep one services going and not have to refund a whole bunch of people or stop revenue coming in? And 2, how do I keep my associates in work and not have them financially broken? So what we did, we've got our online booking system for classes, and what we simply did was we offered a service where people could come to the class, which the size numbers were dying. They were dying because people were already frightened to go out. So they could come to the live class, but we also live streamed it at the same time. So we had that service going. So it was like, you can either come virtual or you can come in person. So we had already been doing that. And I didn't use Zoom like the whole rest of the planet is using. I looked around, got some advice elsewhere, and realized that there was other solutions. I use a software called Vimeo. It's just a bit easier and less glitchy, but the difficulty is, like me and Dave are here, you can't do that. So it's just me teaching or my associates teaching. There's no interaction apart from text box chat. So but I didn't want that. People are saying, oh, I want to see my clients and I want to. The reality is, for a class environment, you are standing up at a screen going, okay, move your pelvis down a little bit, and just, no, it's not going to happen. So I knew that. I had already had experience of filming stuff. I knew how it worked. You just had to be really good at your verbal cues, what you normally see in class, what conditions you normally get, and get that all out there. So I already had the platform in place. So I just put it all online, and all I did was opened up another product in Kajabi, which I use, and put my class members in there. So everything we were filming, I was then editing after those sessions and putting it into an on-demand as well. So it meant that not only did they book into the live session should they want to, they also had access to it on demand. So what that now means is that I'm building this massive big catalogue of resources. Every single class that I teach, my associates teach, goes into this on-demand area. So there's a whole new service there, and this will definitely be something we will continue with after this. Even when we are back to normal, we will still have this on demand, because the feedback has just been insane, and we're getting people from various different parts of the world tuning in and buying our class passes and our memberships. It's a no-brainer. So that's what's happening with TYPP Anytime, the classes. But I'm also doing my consultations via Clinical. So I use Clinical for my online booking system for one-to-one sessions, and Clinical have recently just launched their appointments where it's all video as well, which is brilliant. And they've done the integrated payments as well. Oh my goodness, I'm in heaven, because that was always a big pain in the butt with the one-to-one stuff.
They needed COVID to do that as well. I spoke to Joel from Clinico earlier this week, and it was 7.5 days to get no telehealth module, online payments wasn't really there, to having it all in place, and so people could just go and click the switch and it was there.
It is
genius.
No, as much as this is a disaster for most of us, right? It is a disaster, right? It's horrible no matter what way you look at it, but things are moving at a pace that is insane. Things are just moving at an insane. I've used Clinical for 2-3 years, something like that. And it's been a bugbear of mine for that full time, is that there's no integrated payment system. I didn't care what the payment system was. I was like, just get something. Because we would always have to send an invoice and chase invoices. And now it's like, yes! And they've got the video telehealth there too within a week. It's like, yes, because I was having to use other means to do that, and now it's all integrated. It's just a whole lot easier. So yeah, so that's where we're at. Don't be wrong, it's not without. I am busier now than I ever have been. There's a lot of video edits. There's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that takes a lot of time. But the sales are coming in. My associates are still getting paid. It's just a different way of working. There's a whole lot you still can do with your online consultations. There really is. You just have to pivot, change. What is it you can deliver? Is it rehab programs? Is it as a podiatrist, you can still see people if it's urgent, if it's, so if they've got an infection, if they really need to see you, then you can still see them. So you're able to hold a consultation online and be able to see that and say, no, you need to see me. So there's still the need for that. Yeah, it's not going to be nail cutting and general callus reduction, but if somebody's got a condition where that callus is then going to build up, that it's then going to be potentially giving them a wound, then that needs to be dealt with. So you need a way of being able to communicate that with your patients as well. So no, I think that we absolutely need to just take this and run with it, and I think that it will change our businesses for the better in the long run. It will. It's forcing us. It's almost like doing a mini BA in digital skills. Yeah.
Well, the stuff I've learned this week. I'm pretty tech savvy. I was programming 27, 28 years ago. Assembler code and COBOL and Pascal, so proper programming languages, and using computers before Windows. The computers I used to use were all MS-DOS based. And I talk to my kids now and go, that phone I've got over there, it's far more powerful than my first computer. And they don't get it. They don't understand it. So but I've learned stuff this week, and okay, with Zoom, we're on Zoom now, but we're coming up with Zoom that currently they haven't got end-to-end encryption. However, I'm sure they will sort that out. They've gone from 10 million users a day to 200 million users. So I've been looking at other platforms as well to see what works. I've been thinking about how do you transfer information around, and I'm pretty tech savvy anyway, but it's been amazing. But listening to you talk about all that stuff, there's so things which aren't in the way of you doing it, your skills and knowledge, your ability, your vision, that's all there. The things which would have been the sticking point would have been staff and clients. And what happened is that suddenly this massive external leverage came along, which just literally flipped the whole thought about, physical versus digital. Well, you can't go out now, so what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to have to access it digitally.
Yeah.
That leverage, which you really needed to kind of push people in that direction, helped. It came along at the right time in some ways.
That's what my husband said. He said to me, he said, Sarah Jane, the whole world right now is in turmoil. However, you're like a bouncy ball. You've just like bounce up. It's like it's just worked. It's just worked. And it has, because as I was saying to you before we kind of put this live, I've been trying for the best part of a year now to get people onto my online stuff, and it's been a slog, a massive slog. And I was saying, I think it was like something like 21 was the most I ever had in that online platform course at one time. I'm now at 132. In the space of like a week and a half. That would not have happened had this not happened. Now, it's a nightmare, but what it has done is it's taken a kind of product that I had that was such a noisy environment. It was I can't be bothered learning something. I have to download an app. Like this thing, to now like people it's their lifeline. It's the only choice they have, and people are looking for what else are they going to do at home? What are they going to do? Okay.
It's time, isn't it? People, a number of people who say, I've got more time. And actually, when this all kicked off, I was like, I'm going to actually have some time. And where the times come back for me is in the time that I'm saving by not having to travel to other places. So the number of meetings I've had this week online have been ridiculous. But I've been talking to people all over the place. I've been talking to people in Australia, and I've been talking to people in the UK, and it's been amazing to be part of that. But it's not like I have to go and travel an hour to get somewhere and then travel an hour back. So I'm saving time in that respect. And I actually think at the moment I've probably got less time. I don't think I've been this busy for absolutely ages. But I know that for some people, that just seems really bizarre to say that, I haven't got much time at the moment. But so many things just popping out of the woodwork and going, oh, right, I can look at that. I can do that. Oh, I wonder about that. And it's, very typically in terms of, coaching approaches. Well, before this happened, what was possible? Well, I've got a few ideas now. This has happened. What's possible? Because I've seen the world from a very different place. I think it's, not to say that it's not a bad thing what's going on in the world and that people suffering and there's people who are really unwell, people dying. But what comes the other side of this for a lot of people is going to be really positive if people choose to go down that route. But it is interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think that, even if you look back at history, when you look at history and when there's been big disasters or big changes, there's always people that do well out of it. And you have to not pick yourself up. You're allowed to mourn your business. You're allowed to mourn your life pre this, but there is nothing that you can do to change that. But you are totally in control of what you do today and what you do tomorrow. You learn, Brad Sugar's always taught me, learn before you earn. And it's so true. You have to just don't be afraid of change and don't be afraid of learning. It's just a little bit of pain point, but you will come out at the other end and be like, that's actually all right. It was all
Yeah.
right. Don't bother. You'll be so much further along. So biggest thing as well, I would say, with your clients is right now is to be communicating with them more. So normally we would send like an email newsletter, if you want to call it that, every 10 days, something like that, if not every 2 weeks. It wasn't as regular. Every single day we have something going out to our client base. Hey, how we doing? This is what we've got going on today. Here's the replays. Here's that, every single day. And we're communicating in a, not a, our kind of personality of the studio and the clinic is we're fun and we're a bit naughty. But we're professional as well, but we're a bit cheeky, tongue in cheek, and that's just who we are. That's our kind of personality. That's my personality. Take it to the line, just not over the line, but I'm nearly over the line. So we try and have a little bit of lighthearted fun in there as well. So a little bit of lightheartedness, because we need to lift people's spirits up. They don't want more doom and gloom. We're getting enough of that. So a little bit of fun, and a little bit of here's what we're up to, here's how you can get involved. And it's about that communicating with your patients, however you do that, whether it be phoning them up or whether it be texting them or email, whatever your normal mode of communication. But now is not the time to be hiding and burying your head in the duvet cover crying. It's about, right, I maybe don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'm going to let everybody know I'm all right and that I'm here for them.
And you're comfortable with being uncomfortable as well.
Do you need what's the worst that can happen?
Well, it depends. If you want me to answer that question, I can tell you many things. What's the Mark Twain quote, isn't it? You know, many bad things have occurred in my life, but none of them have actually happened. Something, you know, it's all the stuff you make in your head. Actually, I've just thought of a very interesting question for you. Something I've been doing on a course today was around values. What are your 3 values?
Honesty, and integrity. Honesty, care. Like I need to matter, and I need to care. I like to look after people. Honesty, care, and being transparent. Just like, I suppose that's the same as honesty. Like what you see is what you get. That's me. And I just, anybody that knows me, SJ, just calls a spade. I'm just, there's no airs or graces, there's no filter, there's no nothing. I'm compassionate. I am passionate about what I do. I care. But that kind of honesty and transparency for me is like the big thing, and that caring and giving. I like to give. I actually cannot stand receiving. It makes me feel ill. So I'm like that person where I hate to get gifts. I like to get gifts. I really hate it. But I love to give. So whatever that is, I don't know.
No, I know what you mean. And it's interesting because there's a lot of people. I did my value exercise ages ago. I do it with the clients I have as well. There's a big list of 400 to 500 values, and I say, right, here for the next week, you're going through that, and I want you to get it down to 3. And they look at the list and go, oh God, I'm never going to get down to 3 values. But actually, you can with time. And when you start to look at those values and live your life through those values, it unlocks a few things. You go, right, I know why that relationship, maybe in business or that personal relationship, didn't work because their values are different to mine. I know why I attract these kind of people because my values are in alignment with those. I know why I don't like working with those people because their values are nothing like mine. And what's really interesting, I think there's a lot of people who A, don't know their values and have never done the work to work them out. And B, even if they do know their values, they're not living through those values in their own life and in their business life. And that makes it really hard. And I talk to a lot of people about, well, actually, if you know your values and you live your values through your personal life and your business, you're then in a position where you attract all the right customers, all the customers who want to come and see you. The question for me is then, how do you take that from the physical world, which in reality is quite easy, and stick it in the digital world. Because that's a big jump to get, you know, you can tell people that you care, you can tell people that you're honest and you've got integrity. Showing it digitally is really, really different. And what's interesting as well about your, you see, I get some of your emails, and I know you segregate your email list. You've got tags, and you use those tags and those automations really well. So I don't get an email every day, but I do get emails coming through. And it's almost like they're written by a human being communicating with another human being. So it's really, and the fun comes out in those, the lightness comes out in those.
I think that, God, I've done the, we have to be professional, and it has to be written a certain way, and it has to, bollocks. People buy from people. People want real life, and actually it's more important digitally to be yourself and to be human than it is just be yourself. Just be you, be your voice, be your language, be your colour, be who you are, who's your avatar, who's your client. Mine's is a middle-aged, burnt-out 40 plus woman. That's who she is. She's burst, she's burnt out. And she's had enough, and she's a professional, she's intelligent, but she's just sick of caring for everybody else, and it's time to care for her. That's who she is. And she appreciates honesty, she appreciates getting right to the point, she appreciates this is what we're going to do, and she's committed to doing the work. If you're not committed to doing the work, you're not my client. Go away. It's not going to work. And if you're grey and you're stuffy and you like things done in a professional manner, then I'm not the person for you. It's not who I am. So be comfortable with that, and that's fine. I don't want to serve everybody. God, no, there's some clients you have to sack. Get rid. Energy vampires. No, when you know who you want to attract, they find you. Talk to them. Just be there. Actually, before I jumped on with you there, I filmed a video for my 12 Weeks to Better Posture program. I was updating the video on it. And when I'm videoing it, I don't ever script it. I just straight one take go. And will there be mistakes in there? Yes. Who cares? It's all right. Because it's real.
Well, we all love, you know, I mean, I love my kind of comedy action films. If I think about the Marvel films, think about Deadpool or something. I love those kind of things. One of the things which, obviously the kids haven't watched Deadpool, but one of the things which we love to watch at the end of those films is the deleted scenes, the outtakes and the bloopers. The things where you see Captain America on screen being all and doing what he does. But when he's trying to catch Thor's hammer, or he's trying to hold onto his shield and he drops it, or he swears, or he forgets his lines, those are the endearing connection points.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference. I still remember, I was talking to a lot of people this week about video, and I still remember I've been showing people my first ever videos. Oh my God. It is just, what the hell was I thinking? Because okay, I've done the video, and the first video I ever did was in Cannon Hill Park in the centre of Birmingham. I sound really grubby. It's like, I'm out here with my youngest son doing a little cycle. I thought to do a video for you. It's like a minute and 10 seconds. I've edited a kind of a little intro on it. I've got one of those done off Fiverr, and there's a little bit of a thing at the end. I'm going to do more videos for you, and it was proper cheesy. And over time, I just did more and more videos, and I went through the how can I control the reaction from my audience? So how do I need to dress to look professional? What do I need to say to be professional? And I got to this point where I went, I look at this and I don't recognise the person on video, and that for me is not. It's not right. There's a massive incongruence when you have somebody on a video who maybe looks polished and professional, but when you meet them in real life, they're different. And it's not that they're any less professional or any less polished. it's just different. And video is probably 10% difference anyway. You know, you're probably 90% of the way there, because it's hard to not be a little bit different, because you do have this device in front of you. So I've got a camera, I've got you just to the side of the camera on the screen. But when you go through that line of doing all those shit videos and getting better and better and better, and then just turning around and going, you know what, I'm just going to be me. It just, the weight just lifts. It opens up a whole new world. And that, you know, that authenticity comes through on the videos you do. I mean, we've not met in person.
No.
But I've no doubt that when we do, it's not going to be
There's no difference. Yeah. Yeah, there'll be no difference. But it's just staring at that black vacuumous hole.
Yeah.
Stick something behind the hole if you need to, and talk to it. And it's, you know, I had one of my instructors, Ali, was teaching his yoga class last night to his virtual class, and he said it was the hardest thing he's ever done, because there was no feedback. He said, I couldn't even do the relaxation at the end because the adrenaline was pumping.
Yeah. But that goes, doesn't it? That reduces over time. And in fact, I think I did a video for LinkedIn yesterday, just a very quick sort of 2.5 minute video, and I've got this sty underneath my eye at the moment, and anything eyes, I'm just a bit kind of, if it had been 2-3 years ago, I would not have gone on video with that. And here I am going, look, there's a sty on my eye. It's something now which, if somebody saw me in the flesh, they're going to see that underneath my eye. Why worry about doing it on video? What's the... Because
it's there pretty much forever, isn't it? But who cares? Like, nobody really cares. That's the reality. Nobody actually cares that you have a sty under your eye. They just, they're there.
Do you wonder sometimes what's more painful? Is it more painful that you are there worrying about what people will think, or then finding out at the end of the day that actually nobody gives a shit? Nobody cares at all, and realising actually this lofty place you've put yourself in the universe it's down below. It's down below the view of the camera, and you're kind of like, actually, I don't matter to anyone else.
No.
Yeah, and once you realise that, it doesn't
get over you.
Whatever you say, I mean, whatever you say and put on social media, it's gone within about 3 seconds on the scroll anyway. So
nobody's really listening that long. They're not. And if they are, then fine. But I think we just have to get over ourselves and just be human. Just be a human. I think just don't look at digitally any different to how you would treat somebody in person. Just be yourself. You don't need to be any different. Who you are is good enough. You are perfect as you are. Don't change.
So now you're just saying that to me. You're not saying that to anyone else. And thank you. I know I am. But it is important, and that's probably, you know, I use this phrase a lot, that, you know, something is simple but not necessarily easy. Doing video, doing online courses, you know, talking to a camera, running your business in the way you run it is a simple process. But it's not easy because of all the brain farts which come in, all of those little bits of, you know, feeling bad about yourself, something was said to you as a kid, well, you know, you've had a bad experience with something. It all kind of muddies the water and gets in the way. But that mountain which you put in front of you, you look at it and you think, oh God, I've got to climb that. When you're standing on the top of that and you're looking back and you're going, actually, it wasn't that big. What was I worrying about?
Get up. Get up. Yeah. Get up. So, yeah. It's not as hard as it looks. As you said, looking up to it, it does look daunting, but it really isn't. And I think sometimes it's also just getting that clarity of what is it you want to do? What are you going to do? Because there's a lot of noise out there, and it's trying to figure out, well, where do you fit into that? And, you know, Brendan Burchard, he was, I did his, I can't remember what it was called, one of his things back in 2015. And he helped me get clarity in that kind of thought leader, like what do I have to teach? How do I put what I've got into something digital or something online? How do I get that stuff in here, out there, in a way? And every single one of us has got such amazing, valuable content in there. So just, there is stuff there. It doesn't matter who you are. There is amazing content and value in there. Just start the process. Just by starting, you're on that journey. You're learning, and you're going to make a massive. You're going to fall, stumble. Every day I make mistakes. And as you were talking about editing videos, I cannot stand editing videos of myself. It's horrible. I just go past that bit. I can't stand it. Just put it up and don't ever want to look at that again. But you just do it. You just kind of get used to it. But you just got to start the process. And as you said, your first video was horrendous, but it's done.
I'm a second. I'm my third.
And your 20th.
I'm my 55th. And you know, 2 years' time, I'll look back on the stuff I'm doing at the moment, and I'll go, what was I thinking? And because I was scared of saying the wrong thing. It's like, actually, you know, I talked about, you know, the online consultation stuff. Here I recommended Zoom for online consultation. Zoom pop up and haven't got end-to-end encryption. You kind of think, oh bugger. But you put out the information you've got at the time, and you alter and amend that information as you go. It's a snippet of time.
Yeah.
But some of the things which I've done.
But you don't know what you don't know, Dave, and you're trying to. Everything's changing and everything's learning. We're never going to be perfect. We're never going to be right. Okay, and there'll be a lot of people that will maybe be afraid of putting stuff online or putting themselves out there because they've maybe got imposter syndrome. Maybe they worry that they'll be caught out because they don't know everything and they're not an amazing expert, or they do something wrong.
Don't. I'll be found out. Don't tell anyone.
You can't do that. That's not the correct exercise. Or your research. I mean, just be yourself. There's always the reality is there's always going to be people that will put you down. Doesn't matter whether it's in person or online. There's always going to be those people, and don't let them stop you, because focus on the people that you're serving and the people that you are making the difference to. Those that call you out on something or say that, oh, that's not quite right, or whatever it is going to be, because you are going to get them, right? You just delete, blank, go away. Go away. Don't waste any time on it. Focus on your client base, focus on who you deliver to, and don't give a damn about people who do not pay your bills. They don't pay your bills, go away. Don't listen to them.
So anyone watching this now has been coached and developed personally by you, which is worth the time watching the video anyway. I'm not even going to ask about tech. Tech is just so kind of unimportant in this, because
here's what you got.
Well, yeah, exactly, and we get caught up in tech. I know I do. I mean, I've got copious amounts of photography gear and lights and lenses and all kinds of stuff. What do I use most of the time? That. I use my phone, and my phone does pretty much all of the videos I do. Because I can do a video, I can edit it on the phone, I can upload it from the phone, and it's done. And it's brilliant with the right light, it's brilliant quality. So we're not going to worry about tech. What's next? I mean, you've got your podiatry degree, which is pretty much in the bag. But
I don't know, Dave.
You'll be fine. No, you'll be fine. Trust me, you'll be fine. You will be fine. But what's next? I mean, thinking about what goes on in your mind just from our conversations.
Yeah, sure.
Everything is going on.
I was gutted because I had got an interview with Arthritis UK for research, and I had got to the next stage, and I was meant to have an interview on the 1st of April for research grant that I had done a proposal and got an interview, and then obviously that was cancelled, so that funding is now being pulled away, so I'm gutted. So one of my big main reasons for going back to uni was research, so probably PhD. That's where I don't know.
Dr. SJ, I like that.
Dr. SJ, coming for your feet. So
you'll get off this video. That'll be trademarked. It will have a logo. You'll have a website and an email. That'll be there, ready to go. And you'll get your PhD and just go blick. It's there.
So that's on my to-do list, but I'm not in any rush for that just now because my reasoning for going back to uni is because I went through a big kind of like in 2014, 15, I'll not get into the details of it, but I was very politically engaged then, put it that way. And I was either going to become an MP or go back to uni.
Love it.
So anyway, I went back to uni. And yeah, but the reason for going back was because I wanted to pursue doing a PhD. It was something that I was always afraid to admit I wanted to do. So a lot of it, that doesn't come easy for me saying that that's something I want to do. I've had to work really hard to have the confidence to say, I want to go and do my PhD. Because where I grew up, that was not for you. That wasn't something who the hell do you think you are? So that's been something that I've wanted to do since I was a youngster. So I will do it, but I want to take some time to really think about what I want to do, and I'll probably pay for it rather than do a full-time with the university. I want to choose what I want to do. I don't really want to just be slotted in somewhere. So I'll take some time, and I'm not in any rush. It's a goal. So that's kind of long term. I'm not sure where that is. I really want to be involved in research. So Dr. Gordon Henry at Glasgow Caledonian University, who's my supervisor just now for my dissertation, has been so kind and so helpful, as well as Dr. Ruth Barn. And they have made it clear that if I want to get involved in more research, there's stuff over the summer that I can just basically, obviously unpaid, that I'm just going to be there and get involved, and I just want to do it. So that's kind of what I'm doing. My husband thinks I'm mad. He's like, you're honestly insane. So do a little bit of that. I'm rubbish at it. I'm really, really rubbish. And I don't say that like, although Gordon, Dr. Henry wouldn't say I'm rubbish. He's like, you're still learning, but I am like this level right now. So bottom of the rung. But you ask me in 5 years' time, I'll be here. I'll be better than I was today, and that's okay. So that's kind of where I'm going. In terms of business, we're definitely going to stay online. I'm going to have more online courses. I am going to deliver, I already do a live focus on the feet, foot, knee, hip connection course. I deliver that already live. So I'm currently just now filming for that, and I'm going to have that on as a course. Possibly looking towards doing some teacher training, maybe CPD training, and mentoring some other coaches up, because I have a lot of skills that I realize a lot of people really struggle with their confidence and putting their hands to use and how they actually do that. So there's a lot of things there that I could help people with. So a little bit of research, a little bit of clinical practice, and a little bit of helping other people along the way. That's me.
Okay, so that's you sorted until Friday. What have you got planned for the weekend?
Getting drunk.
Do you know? It's really interesting listening to you talk about the PhD stuff. When I did my MSc in 2015, I was working own business, part-time NHS, band 7, master's degree, 3 kids, long-suffering wife, one dog at that point, and a cat. I want some chickens. Life was absolutely bonkers. And that was kind of the tipping point for me. And I remember saying to my wife, yeah, Becky, I quite like the idea of doing a PhD. And she looked at me and she said, so if you do a PhD, she said, I'll divorce you. Now, as it turns out, my answer of, oh, well, that will give me more time to do my PhD, apparently is not the right answer. But
you did not say that.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing I would say, sort of tongue in cheek. You know, it's many a true thing said in jest. But I I was well up for it. I was well up for the idea of going down that rabbit hole of doing a PhD. Now, not so much. Now for me, my direction is, I'm not saying I won't come back to it, because I still work with people around biomechanics and help them with their biomechanics, even though I'm not in clinical practice much at all.
Yeah.
And I get there's a outside the door here. There's my big whiteboard, and we've got the structures posterior to the calcaneus and in front of the Achilles tendon, all of the bursas and the fat pad, which we were going through on a coaching session. So I still get really excited by that level of detail. So it's not off the table yet, but
I like that. I like that side of things. So whether I go down into the teaching side further, that's possibly where I will go, rather than
because I still teach. I mean, I still teach undergraduates one day a week when I'm actually at university, and while I'm maybe not teaching them anything high end, I'm maybe utilising a different skill set. So it's not here I'm going to teach you about biomechanics. It's, for me, working A&E, working for the NHS, being a carer before, being going through, being coaching other people, all of those skills kind of come together, and it gives you a really nice approach. It's a very different approach to just kind of rote, you will do this, let me teach you. It's actually lots of questioning, lots of engagement and involvement, lots of collaboration. And I love that. Absolutely love that stuff. So
maybe
Dr. DJ.
But there's,
Yeah.
but there's something to be said about that, in that people have always said to me, you really light up, Sarah Jane, when you're teaching. So when I teach, when I'm just, so I know that it lights a fire in my belly. But I also know myself well enough that I couldn't do that full time.
Yeah.
I think I'm incapable of doing anything full time.
You like portfolio stuff, don't you? You like variety and different things.
Yeah. So a little bit of clinical practice, a little bit of teaching, a little bit of coaching, and a little bit of academia. I need it. I can't. I'm good in a crisis. So I think this is what I've realised. I probably should have worked in A&E or something, because see, when it all goes crazy, I am right. This is what needs done. Organising, structure, mundane, day-to-day, boring, day-to-day stuff. Like if it was just the same day in, day out, Groundhog Day type stuff, I can't cope with that. Whatever goes on with my personality, that doesn't work for me. It needs to be varied. So I know whatever I do in the future, I wanna have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't want to do anything totally full time, or I would slowly die of inside. I need to be creative.
Okay.
I like stress.
We can tell. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do some quick fire questions, because I think I kept you on far too long now, and you've got family to go to, and I suppose I should as well. So let's do some quick fire questions off the top of my head. Tea or coffee?
Oh, come on, coffee.
I know the answer as a tea drinker. Wine or spirits?
Red wine.
Okay. Coast or mountains?
Coast.
Okay. Who would you like to, dead or alive, who would you like to have dinner with?
The devil.
Ooh. That's an interesting one. Hang on a minute.
How many hash browns do you want?
This is. I'm going to leave this in as well. This is completely real. You must stay away. There you go. I've been asked how many hash browns do I want? 3.
Okay.
God, I'm asking quick fire questions here. I'm not being asked quick fire questions. That's terrible. 3. Yeah, that'd be perfect, mate. Thank you.
Brilliant.
It's my oldest lad. He's gorgeous. So handsome. I don't know where he gets it from. So the devil. Okay, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Right, let's think of another question for you. Day or night?
Mornings.
Okay. So that kind of answers the sunrise, sunset question, doesn't it?
No, I enjoy a sunset more than a sunrise. But I absolutely love mornings, because it's calm, it's quiet, the stillness, the world's just waking up. But I love that, the sun going down and the end of a day as well. So, but if I had to choose a time of day, morning. Absolutely.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I'm out of quickfire questions. I can't ask any more quickfire questions because
The devil killed you.
The devil killed me completely. No, that's a brilliant answer. I've never thought about that one before. That's a really good answer. So, if anyone's got to the end of this and they really need to go back and watch through it, because there's a lot of stuff which we've talked about. There's a lot of stuff which you've talked about, which is absolutely gold. Even if people don't look at this video as being a chat around your move to online, just the stuff you've come out with in terms of mindset and getting things done and work ethic and all of those things is gold. That is absolute gold dust. So thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that. Where can people find you?
Probably Instagram, SJ Walls. So just SJ Walls at SJ Walls, or
soon to be Dr. SJ Walls.
One day,
probably Monday.
Oh God, I don't need any more pressure. Or TYPP anytime is the studio if you want to go over and have a look. Cool. Yeah, SJ Wolves.
And actually, it's worth for anyone watching. It's worth to go and sign up to the emails, even if you go along a visit and you don't want to do it. Sign up to the emails, because
do that with everybody that's doing stuff well. Sign up to their emails, take their freebies, watch what they're doing, and reverse engineer them.
Yeah, there's so much. I've been having conversations with people this week around lead magnets and growing email lists and that kind of thing, and people aren't doing it in podiatry. It's something, yeah, exactly. And it's something I've come to fairly late, but it's something people don't do.
Your list is your wealth. Your list is your wealth. Have a list. I've got a list of, I think, about just maybe 10,500 now.
Yeah. And
that is, oh my goodness. Because when you send stuff out, it's how you make sales. It's worth so much. Obviously, an active list, a good list, it's been well nurtured and all that stuff, all that good stuff. But yeah, grow your list. Just start growing your list. Anything. Get people on a list.
And it must be important because you went husky at the end. You are a superstar. You're an absolute superstar. Really, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. I'll get this editing and get it out at some point. But yeah, really grateful. Thank you very much for coming along.
Thanks, Dave.